The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Coalition fell silent as General Vorthon stepped onto the podium. His 4 eyes scanned the gathered representatives, delegates from 100 worlds, each more ancient and powerful than the last. The Crithian general's carapace gleamed under the crystalline lights, battle scars etched across his armored form like a map of countless victories. For 3 centuries, Vorthon had been a legend. He had broken the siege of Mordantis Prime. He had led the charge against the Void Swarm. Empires rose and fell on his tactical genius. But today, the greatest warrior the galaxy had ever known stood before them with something none had ever seen in his bearing: fear. "You wish to know about the humans," Vorthon began, his translator rendering his clicking speech into Standard Galactic. "You laugh when their delegation speaks. You dismiss their requests for equal representation. You call them soft skins, short-lived, primitive." A ripple of uncomfortable acknowledgement passed through the chamber. It was true. Humanity had joined the Coalition only 40 cycles ago, and they were treated as the galaxy's newest curiosity: physically weak, technologically backward, emotionally unstable. Their homeworld, Earth, sat in an unremarkable arm of an unremarkable galaxy, and they had barely mastered faster-than-light travel when first contact occurred. "I was like you once," Vorthon continued. "I commanded the defense of Outpost Zeta 7 when the Zarthic horde descended upon us. 20,000 of my finest warriors held that station. We had weapons that could crack planets, shields that had never been breached, and we had 1 human advisor." He paused, mandibles clicking in a way that expressed deep emotion in Crithian culture. "Her name was Ilara Wynn." The holographic display behind Vorthon flickered to life, showing a young human woman with dark hair pulled back in a practical braid, wearing the simple gray uniform of an Earth Coalition liaison officer. She looked unremarkable by any galactic standard. No natural armor, no venomous fangs, no psychic abilities, just flesh and bone and a calm expression. "The Zarthic brought a fleet of 500 warships," Vorthon said. "We were outnumbered 25-1. I had already transmitted our final testament to Coalition Command. We would die with honor, taking as many enemies as possible." "It was the warrior's way." "Ilara Wynn came to my command center and said 6 words that I did not understand. Permission to try something crazy, sir." A few nervous laughs echoed through the assembly. The Zarethian ambassador's telepathic voice drifted through the chamber. "Surely you did not take tactical advice from a human." Vorthon's eyes focused on the Zarethian with an intensity that silenced all laughter. "I did. And it saved us all." The holographic display shifted, showing the tactical layout of Outpost Zeta 7, a heavily fortified station on the edge of Coalition space, surrounded by an approaching Zarthic armada that blotted out the stars. "Ilara asked me 3 questions," Vorthon continued. "First, do we have control of the station's environmental systems?" "Yes, we did." "Second, can we overload the plasma conduits without triggering automatic shutdowns?" Our engineers confirmed it was possible, though suicidal. "Third, General, do you trust me?" Vorthon's voice dropped lower. I looked into her eyes, those strange, forward-facing predator eyes that humans have, and I saw something I had seen in only the fiercest warriors of my own kind. Not fear, not resignation, but certainty. She explained her plan in 5 minutes. My senior officers called it madness. The Zarthic were already breaching our outer defenses. We had perhaps an hour before they overran the station. But something in the way this human spoke, the absolute confidence in her voice, made me give the order. The holographic display animated the scene. The Zarthic fleet closing in, energy weapons blazing, shields absorbing hits that would vaporize lesser vessels. Ilara Wynn took personal command of a team of engineers, human and non-human, and they began venting atmosphere from 90% of the station. They overloaded every plasma conduit, every power cell, every reactor that wasn't essential to life support in the command center. The Zarthik saw a dying station, shields failing, life signs disappearing. They thought we were already dead. They were wrong. Vorthan's voice rose with intensity. The Zarthik landed their boarding parties. Thousands of their warriors poured into what they believed was a derelict station. And then Ilara triggered the trap. The holographic display erupted in brilliant light. She turned Outpost Zeta-7 into a bomb. Every overloaded conduit, every sabotaged reactor, every stockpiled munition, all detonated simultaneously. The explosion was visible from 3 systems away. It destroyed 200 Zarthik warships instantly. The shockwave crippled another 100. Silence filled the assembly hall. "But here is what you must understand," Vorthan said quietly. Ilara Wynn knew she would die. The command center was not shielded from the explosion. She had calculated that we had perhaps 30 seconds to evacuate to the last remaining transport. She told me this plan would work, and she asked me to trust her. I asked her, "And what of you?" She smiled, that strange human expression, and said, "I'll be right behind you, General. Now go." Vorthan's voice cracked with emotion that transcended species. She was not behind us. She manually triggered the detonation from the command center because the remote systems had been damaged in the fighting. She stayed because someone had to ensure it worked. The holographic display showed a final image. Ilara Wynn standing alone in the command center, hand on the detonation switch, looking directly at the security camera with that same calm expression. 19,743 of my warriors survived because of one human, Vorthan said. One primitive being who understood something we had forgotten in our millennia of warfare. That victory is not always about who has the strongest armor or the biggest guns. Sometimes it is about who is willing to sacrifice everything for those who depend on them. He let that sink in before continuing. After the battle, I accessed Earth's military history. Do you know what I found? Thousands of years of warfare, yes, but also thousands of years of individuals like Ilara Wynn, humans who threw themselves on explosives to save their comrades, who charged impossible odds to buy time for others to escape, who stayed at their posts while their ships sank, their cities burned, their worlds ended. They call it going down with the ship. They have dozens of terms for this behavior because it is so common among them that they needed to name it. Vorthan's 4 eyes swept the assembly. You think humans are weak because they lack natural weapons. You think they are primitive because their technology is young. But I have fought beside the greatest warriors of 100 species. And I tell you this, I have never seen a species with such capacity for self-sacrifice in defense of others. Ilara Wynn was 28 years old. She had a family waiting for her on Earth. She had dreams, ambitions, a whole life ahead of her. And she gave it all away in 30 seconds because she knew it was the right thing to do. The general's voice hardened. So when you laugh at the humans, when you dismiss their requests, when you treat them as lesser, remember this. They are a species that produces individuals willing to die for strangers. They are a species that runs toward danger, not away from it. They are a species that, given the choice between their own survival and the survival of others, will choose others. I do not fear many things in this galaxy, but I fear what will happen if we ever make enemies of humanity. Because a species that fights like that sacrifices like that refuses to yield like that, they will never be conquered. They will burn the galaxy to ash before they allow tyranny to flourish. General Vorthan stepped back from the podium. That is my testimony. The humans deserve full membership in this coalition. They have earned it with blood and courage. And if you cannot see that, then you are fools who do not deserve the peace that beings like Ilara Wynn died to protect. The assembly sat in stunned silence as the greatest warrior the galaxy had known walked away, leaving them to contemplate the truth he had shared. No one laughed at the human delegation anymore.